So welcome to Mixmag's 5 Under 25 panel. This is all about the Visionaries taking dance music forward. My name is Jaguar. I am the presenter for Mixmag TV and a writer as well for Mixmag. So yeah, big up Mixmag. So just to kind of go through the panel, who I'll give them a chance to speak shortly, but over there we have Caroline, who is A&R at XR Recordings and New Gen. We've got Marina Blake, who is the creative director of Brainchild Festival. We've got Martha, who is a DJ, sound artist, radio presenter, producer working across RA and NTS. We've got Robbie Murch, who we just see is the Visionaries winner and the director of that identification of music group and a party organizer. And we've got JJ to my right, who is a DJ, host, and cultural events curator. Right, so strong panel. And we're all under 25, which is pretty cool. So to kick off, I guess, do you guys want to just say a little bit more about what you do and kind of maybe your journey as to how you got to where you are now? So Caroline, would you like to start?
Sorry, I just had to free up the microphone. My name is Caroline. I am currently an A&R manager at XL Recordings, working across that and an imprint that I started there called New Gen. I guess my journey kind of started in radio. I interned at a station called Choice FM, well, formerly known as Choice FM. It's now called Capital Extra in the UK. And went on to do loads of other bits of interning and whatnot, and then ended up at a company called GRM Daily, where I was the editor for about 4 years. I started managing different artists, or co-managing them, and signed 2 of them to Sony, one of them being an artist called Jay Huss, who you might be familiar with. And then after that, XL offered me a job as an A&R, so I went over there and have released a couple of albums since I've been there.
Nice. Marina?
That's such an amazing story. It's really cool. So yeah, I'm Marina. I'm a founder and creative director of a festival and organisation called Brainchild. It's a completely not-for-profit and DIY festival. It has about 2,500 people. We work with over 300 artists every year across music, theatre, visual arts, film. We started it in our first year of university with no real backing or experience. We just decided that this would be a really positive thing for the people we knew who were up to great creative projects and could do with this kind of narrative in their lives. And it's just grown organically since then. I have been volunteering, but we're starting to pay ourselves now. It's just been a kind of interesting journey. We've won a couple of awards and are now trying to diversify our work. Yeah.
Great. Martha?
My name's Martha. I'm from Peckham in southeast London, and I started doing radio when I was 16 on a youth station called Represent, and now I play fortnightly on NTS, and I'm a DJ as well, so I mix electronic music with UK and US rap. So 1 minute you'll hear something weird and experimental, and then 1 minute something that you recognise. And I'm a producer as well. I work for an independent company called Grape, and I produce Annie Nightingale's Radio 1 and One Extra show, the OG Annie Nightingale. And I have a podcast with Resident Advisor called The Hour, which is kind of like Radio 4, but for electronic music culture.
I think you guys, I've just introduced myself, so I won't bore you too much again.
You know, you might as well, just a little spiel.
So I run the largest online peer-to-peer music ID service in the world, which is not monetized, but I really enjoy it, and I'm also a party promoter. I've done events for 5 years in Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Chengdu. I presented the first ballroom in Chinese and English, which is cool. And that's how I ended up getting the idea of music group. So yeah, that's a small fact.
JJ.
Hey, I'm JJ. I'm known as JJ Revlon. I also from Peckham. Shout out Petnam. And I came into music and DJing through dance. So I'm originally a dancer that moved into a culture called voguing. Well, voguing is the dance style, but I moved into a culture called ballroom. Most of you have seen voguing from Madonna's Vogue. We'll get to that. And it's also through a documentary called Paris is Burning, so that if you haven't seen it, you should. And I've built the scene in the UK over the last like 2-3 years, and I'm actually like probably the freshest DJ because I've only been DJ for like 2 years. But I also do regular parties and events in general life, really. So yeah.
Great, just a bit of an all-rounder, really. Yeah, just doing bits. We're all doing bits. And for this panel, we were talking about it earlier, we're all kind of still quite young, but things are changing now. And like Marina and I had a conversation earlier, it's kind of turning from a hobby and a passion into more of a profession. So my question to the panel is kind of, how have you found this transition? Marina, I know you and I were talking about Brainchild, how that's kind of expanding now. So if you want to go first.
Sure. So we run 5 festivals, and we kind of achieved everything we wanted to, and it was a kind of weird experience. But also, it's been a really amazing backdrop for youth. We've learnt so much. It's been so dramatic. But at the same time, have really worked so hard to reach a standard that we couldn't maintain whilst fitting it alongside other work, because we couldn't guarantee we could create something this good where we can't guarantee the time. So this year's been a complete transition for us. It's been trying to move from an entirely volunteer-powered operation to something that is sustainable. And there's been a lot of business development we've had to do, but it's been really exciting. And it's like, I guess when you're little, you don't understand why this stuff is so important. And then you reach an age where you've got to go hard or go home. And that's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And Caroline, what about you? Obviously, having started off on like kind of smaller scale stuff, and your work with GRM and to XL, how's that transition been?
I think it comes with what happens, basically. It's kind of, for me, been a bit of a more natural one. I didn't go to university. I've had a job since I was like 12 years old. I loved working. And as soon as I could, I just cared about music and just getting stuff done and having fun. So I felt like all of the like intern roles and stuff that I had, they just naturally kind of progressed into having an actual career in music. But I worked for a very long time not getting paid, as most people do when they start, and I really didn't care. Like, I was having a great time. I had other part-time jobs which paid me. I worked in a shop. I did other things when I was younger, like pretty much everyone ends up doing. But at the end of the day, like, when you are really dedicated to it and whatever, the transition, I guess, comes. It just comes. Like, you can't, it's just what happens. So someone will offer you a job eventually, and you'll be like, oh my God, wait, I actually get paid now? Like, I'm on a salary, like I can take holiday, like things that you would never have imagined in your times doing the things that you did, basically. So I think, yeah, I look back like, wow, like I can't believe I used to do the things that I did, but it's fine, it's good. I guess it just comes naturally.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess as well, while we're here talking about getting into the industry, yeah, it's important to highlight that, through internships or doing things for free, you can progress so much. And Robbie, like, how have you seen things change for you, kind of starting this platform and it, skyrocketing?
First of all, just a silly amount of Facebook ads from everyone around the world, speaking all sorts of different languages. But apart from that, just a real good conversation with artists. So I'm seeing huge amounts of talent within the group, producing tracks in their bedrooms. And I'm now in a privileged position where I can literally see how people are reacting to the talent that I'm spotting. So the taste that I like, I can actually see are being equated to in terms of the reaction it's getting on social media. So yeah, I've had a more increased and in-depth conversation with artists. That's been most enjoyable.
And how do you think, like, the internet has kind of changed the landscape of musical discovery? Because it's a huge thing now. Do you think there are some positives and maybe some negatives for that?
Yeah, of course. The positives are that it brings a social media conversation closer between the fans and the artists. You see DJs answering fans' requests, which is cool. And some of the negatives, which I spot within the group, are definitely an increase in phone usage at live music venues. That's one thing that personally really bothers me. So it's up to the community how we manage that within the group as well.
Amazing, thank you. Okay, so Martha, hi. So obviously you work in radio and you do kind of all sorts of things, and I think what's interesting about you is your day job is, you know, working on one of the biggest stations in the world, Radio 1 for Annie Nightingale, and then also you do your stuff for RA and you do your show on NTS. So, and obviously with kind of more independent stations, there's a bit more freedom in creativity. So have you noticed like huge differences between kind of grassroots stuff and more mainstream level programming?
Yeah, they are really different, like almost incomparable at times. But like I basically take the skills I've learned at the institution that is Radio 1 and apply them to my small-time radio shows. So I can do that and make the production values of my independent shows really, really high and make them stand out against all the other internet radio. And yeah, like for NTS, it's just like quite easy to get an idea on the radio really quickly without kind of going through a number of processes, which is cool. And also I don't need to worry about like, oh, is this artist going to bring enough numbers to this show? Like, I can just have people do guest mixes that are really, really small and that I really care about. And I don't even have to have famous people on. Like, I do a feature on my NTS show called Pen Pals, which is just like a reporter in another city who shares some stories and sounds from the local underground music scene where they are in the world, which is really cool because you don't have to work in music to do it. You can just be a fan as long as you're like embedded in your community, and you can send me some songs that are like popping when you go out and tell me a bit about the context of why these songs are relevant in your area. And I just like doing that because it means that these people are telling their stories in their own voices. It's not like me coming in and being like, I'm making a documentary about you. I just offer people a space to share stories that are like their truths. So, yeah.
And that's kind of what radio has become. Like, it's this platform to share stories and music. And with like the rise of streaming and, you know, audio visual stuff, like I would be interested to know what your thoughts on like the future of radio would be.
I just don't see, like, I love streaming services as well. I stream all the time, but I also love radio, and like I listen to 1Extra, I listen to Radio 1, I listen to NTS, and I listen to Represent, and like I have enough time to consume all these things, and I feel different at different times of the day, and I think like most young people do, and they want different things at different times. And I feel like sometimes people can really panic, like, oh, but young people don't have enough ear time for all of these things, or to watch all of these things. But actually, like, people who are seeking out content, like, they're going to find it. So I don't worry about making things that are like too niche, because I know there's nerds out there just like me who want this nerdy shit. Especially I've found that with the RA podcast, like sometimes we'll put something out and even I'm like, oh, this is a little bit niche. But then in the comments, everyone's like, yeah, love this, more of this. So I just feel like there's so many different people who have access to this stuff now that we shouldn't worry about making like really nerdy niche stuff.
Yeah, I agree. JJ, hello. You haven't spoken much, so how are you doing?
I'm okay.
Yeah, great. Let's talk about what you do a bit more. So obviously you're running your nights, which I guess if we're talking about niche, they could be seen as quite niche, kind of more alternative, kind of the gay scene. And how do you plan on like keeping this alternative gay scene alive in the UK?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
Well, the stuff I do is very niche. Like, Voguing is a niche, and the culture is a niche. The history of the culture is stemming from men of colour who wanted to find a space, because one, they were accepted for either being black or being gay. So then there's like two, and then you're like, what do I do? So they just created this space. So I keep that kind of thing of not just for men of colour, but but what I see is in my scene is that like a lot of queer spaces are dying, you know, a lot of good clubs are dying, and I was thinking to myself, like, what is the change I want to see? So for me to change how I probably see going out, I literally just created a space where I felt comfortable to go out. So it is for, the party is for voters and friends or anyone that is interested, and I don't know, in my space, when you come to my space, it's different. You don't need to wear a certain look. I wear tracksuits all the time at my parties. I make sure everybody's welcome, but I also think it's down to the host themselves. And I think all I want to do is just bring a space where everyone just feels like mad comfortable, where it's you don't feel. And also for the people that like, as you say, like if you're like quite nerdy, you would feel comfortable there. If you're, you want to wear, high class like skimpy dress, you can. Like it's kind of, I'm trying to create something that is just not it is a niche, but it isn't as well. It's a bit hard to say. I only say that because in terms of like DJs, I was saying this backstage, is that when I book DJs, I book people because they tell me they're DJs. So I've never heard them mix. I've never heard.
You just take their word for it.
Yeah, and then I put them on, and if it's good, it's good, and if it's whack, it's whack. So that's how I kind of see it, and I think a lot of parties, what happens is you want a specific sound. You want it to be R&B and house and Afro beats, and I just go for like, do your thing. Yeah. That's it.
I like that, and I think that is kind of more true to a party sentiment, because a lot of people these days, they take themselves so seriously, and it's kind of doesn't make it that fun.
No, it doesn't, especially because, it's very, I'm similar, I feel like, to Martha, because I play a niche called ballroom, but people will probably think ballroom as in classical dance, which is not. But others will see it as Jersey. Some DJs who produce the music see it as electronic or just Afro house, but it has a very niche sound, and I thought that was, for me, I tried to not take myself too seriously, but in the beginning I did take myself so seriously that I was like, I play this niche sound, I'm not going to be booked for anything, or I'm just going to be doing this on Facebook Live at 10 a.m. when everyone else is sleeping. But what happened is it changed when I started to like relax and just play what I love. And I think if every DJ did that and instead of trying to be within this weird circle, I think, I don't know, for me it would be better. And I think that's what I receive from DJs. When they ask me, oh, what do I play? You want it to be like really boring? You want me to play Byral or Mike Q? And I'm like, no, just play whatever. Like play how you feel on that day, And you know what? The party's been going on for the year. Birthday just happened in May. I have a really good, nice space in Peckham, and it's.
Do you want to tell me a bit about the space where you hold your events? Like, was it challenging to find the right kind of venue for this?
Yeah, because what I find is, this is going to sound weird, but what I find in most spaces, even queer spaces, that security are just dickheads. And it's just a simple fact. I hear so many stories of, I literally base my party on the behavior of the security.
Okay.
And I think the reason why I do that is because I've gone into spaces where they've said it's, for everybody, it's for POC, it's LGBTQ, it's this, it's that. It has all these acronyms. But then when I get to the door, I can hear security talking to their friends saying, oh, no, you don't want to come in here. It's a bit weird. So I said, okay, that venue's one shot. We don't want that one. Let's try another one. So I'm lucky to have I started it in a place called the Curtain, which is in Shoreditch, Curtain Hotel. And it's because of my friend why I even did the party, because she gave me the access to the space. And then, for me, I started seeing a change that I was not really liking. I still go there, I love the place, but for my party, what I noticed that my people did not feel comfortable in this space, which is seen as like a rich space. Drinks were mad expensive, but yeah, it was like a rich space where it was like a membership, it's a members club. It had all these like rules and stuff like this. I'm fine with it, but if I want people to feel comfortable in my space, I have to treat it like you are coming into my house. So then I have an opportunity to have, I work now with a place called Prince of Peckham. It's only been open for, I think, 2 years. Oh, no, it's only been open for 1 year. And Clem gets me, and I get Clem, and we have this like mutual eye-to-eye agreement of like, no bullshit, or you can go home. I do not care at all. And because I take it really, if someone comes to my party and they feel offended by or some sort of side comment has been made, I get so upset because I take it upon myself as a promoter to make those people feel comfortable. And when someone doesn't feel comfortable, I feel like I've done something wrong. So I met with all the security, and since then it's been like a great mutual agreement, and it's been like a great party, really inclusive space, and Peckham has had some years of learning. Marvin knows. It has had some years of learning, especially growing up myself, black and gay in Peckham, going to primary school in Peckham, going to a academy at Peckham that used to be called Warwick Park. Won't talk about that. But growing up in a school that it was, you know, heavily black and heavily straight and no knowledge, I was coming back, I feel like, coming back around in my age now. And I had to like really learn really quickly, you know. I had to really learn quite quickly to make sure my vision is what I am seeing always. Yeah.
Fab, thank you.
Thank you.
That was great. Caroline, let's go back to you, because I'm just really interested in kind of what you do. And obviously you specialize in like black UK artists. And obviously it's a really great time for that scene and for UK music in general. But my question for you is kind of what direction do you see that scene heading in, like black British artists?
I think it's been a brilliant couple of years. Like, so, I mean, I guess since I kind of came up in music, that the scene is elevating so amazingly, because I think if we put everything aside, music is music, and everyone should have the opportunity to shine equally to other people. Like, some of these black British musicians, like, they're pop stars and rock stars and rap stars. Like, it's not like, oh, you're urban, like, just because of the color of your skin. That's not okay to me. And I came into working in rap music because it was just what I liked. It's not anything to do with color, orientation, anything like that. Like, I just really like the music, and I wanted the artists to be so successful. And at the point when I came up, the reason why the New Gen platform was created is because nobody was playing the music and no one was supporting the music. Like, now it's everywhere. Radio 1, Capital FM, anything you can find rap music right now. But there was a time when it wasn't that long ago. And I think that the thing is, the artists, there's so many stars, like Stormzy, J Hus, like they were the original stars from this batch, in my opinion, and I feel fortunate enough to have worked kind of around and with both of those people and seen that, like, you have better work rates than other artists who are getting more opportunities than you. That's not really fair. So everyone, I think, kind of came together and saw this, and people took the power into their own hands and just created more platforms. And I think that's where the artists started to come up and kind of be heard. And the music is just so good. Like, a lot of these songs are actually undeniably hit records. And like, Stormzy's had a #1 album that's gone platinum. Like, my mum knows Stormzy and will come to a Stormzy show with me, and people's grandmas know Stormzy. Like, that is absolutely incredible, but that should be normal. Like, I remember a time thinking, like, oh, I can't wait till UK rappers consistently get like a top 5 album. Like, I've released 2 UK top 5 rap albums now. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is an amazing thing. And you can't stop thinking like how far things have come. And the point of that is like how far it's gonna go still, like which artist is gonna be the first one to break America, because no one's actually done that, like, from the UK. And who's gonna be authentically the first person to have, like, other than say like a Drake and Giggs or whatever, or Dave and whatnot, like, who else is gonna have these amazing big global hits? And, you know, someone like Steph London, like, she is, not only is she not a guy, obviously stating the obvious here, but like, she is actually taking over the world. Like, it's incredible. But I saw a mind state in her from early where she just knew who she was supposed to be and who she was going to be. And you couldn't argue with that. Like, okay, you're going to be a superstar. You're going to get the first £1 million record deal from the rappers. And she did. Like, she got that deal before anyone else did, because she just believed in it. And I just think, like, now everyone's confidence is allowing them to know their value. I think streaming has opened up so much that obviously there's more money in record sales now. So people actually know what they're worth where they didn't before. So they can ask for more. Like, festivals are doing £1 million bookings for rappers. Like, things are happening that have never happened. Like, even in that, you know, there's been resurgences of this before. Like, there's been times where Chipmunk is like, you know, like these other times where rappers were huge or grime artists were huge, but now it's just evolved so much and it's not going to go away now because the power is in people's hands and it can't go. So I just think it's gonna get bigger and it's gonna get better, and the scene is like, it's in a brilliant place where the mainstream is not even trying to manipulate it or change it. It's just existing. It's amazing.
Fabulous, thank you. And just to wrap up, I think we're just going to squeeze in this. As we are the new generation coming through, and as 5 visionaries on this panel, could you quickly just tell me, like, what change would you like to see develop over the next 5 years? Just really quickly, maybe one thing each. Do you want to start, JJ?
I think I want to see more things of like, I want to see more artists of my age range being maybe put on a capacity. As a DJ mainly I'm thinking about, and also I think I want to see mainly that as well as building younger generation of DJs to become something big and to know their worth on top of all of that. That's 2 things, sorry.
Great, Robbie?
Cool. I think the first is spotting perhaps the majority of artists through Facebook groups, communities. And secondly, I think we're actually going to see a flawless peer-to-peer music ID service that will work 100% of the time.
Great. Martha?
I feel like some people know what I'm going to say, but making sure women are safe in music environments is the most important thing for me moving forward. And also visibility. Like, I think sometimes bigger companies don't appreciate the value of what it means to be a young person and to see someone that looks like you in a role that you could do, because it makes you believe that you could do it, and the value of that is really, really high.
Great. Marina?
Yeah, I would agree in terms of also women visibility, women making music. We've signed up to the Key Change initiative with PRS and the EU, and yeah, I'm excited to see more women in music getting the recognition they deserve and the opportunities that they deserve. And I also want to see more. I think the best things, kind of what you're saying. I feel like Brainchild's really related to a jazz scene in London, which is also really, really blossoming because it's kind of come up through dance music and loads of different influences, and I feel like there are some really, really talented and hard-working musicians getting their moment, and I hope that it continues. But I think also I can recognise very much to do with Brainchild and also this kind of South East London community we've been involved with called Steez, how important community is for emerging artists and how important community is for young people. And I think that whilst spaces and venues that can think outside of the money-making drive, which obviously everyone has to think about, but isn't just purely existing as part of like a giant group, for instance. When venues aren't around, it's harder for communities to do their thing. It's harder for young people to just like put on a night and like get their friends down, and that's really, really important. And I want for more of that to exist in London, and I hope that Brainchild can be a part of that.
Fab. And finally, really quickly, Caroline.
I'm going to echo these two. I think that I would like to see a lot more women in higher positions. There's going to be more CEOs, close the pay gap. Those numbers that came out recently were quite shocking in my eyes. So I think I'm personally going to pay more awareness to it and just try to encourage more of it myself. So, yeah, hopefully that can happen.
Cool. Thank you so much.